Yeah. Habari gani, karibuni. We started that song and we have our brother Kwabena, Essential Songs, who created the tune you all just listened to. It's going to make sense why I chose that to start today. But it's relevant to the story today. And Kwabena, you want to introduce yourself before you head out? Oladele, introduce yourself. Let's go. Karibuni, asanteni kwa kuwa nasi leo.
Honorable Oladele.
Hey, you're muted, Oladele. As he calls you Honorable, Your Excellency.
All protocols observed.
All protocols observed.
This and that. Hey,
okay, greetings, everybody. I'll say this is not our new year, but this is the new Gregorian year. But in as much as Africans, we don't celebrate this. But for those who still observe it, we say Gregorian New Year to you. My name, as always, is Oladele Dosumo. I'm the founder of the Merging Equivalent, and we're in community with my sister here today. So we've been talking about when the music changed. Yeah. We did. So interesting. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it's perfect that Kwabena, as you introduce yourself, you started making this music recently, and I'll give quickly what happened. He was sending us music, and I said to him, "Man, this is sounding so Western. This is sounding so Western." But he said it reminded him of the R&B, the 90s R&B music that we grew up on. And then it clicked on me because I grew up around the same time, right? And that's what we grew up on. even all the way back in Kenya, we grew up on all these 90s American Black, our brothers and sisters music. And to us, we didn't see them as foreigners. As much as we saw them as Americans, I don't know about the two of you. I felt like it was our music. As much as we knew the Americans, to me, it was our music.
I didn't know any
right?
different because we
Yeah.
embrace everything. So
It was all our music. So I could relate to Kwabena once he said that. But then I kept insisting, I want an African tune. I want an African tune. And this is the first one. The one that you just heard is the first one he sent. And I was like, finally, I'm hearing some African tune. The sound is sounding African. So asante. And then he decided to do it in Swahili, which I asked for Ubuntu because I wanted it also in our language. So hopefully he'll continue putting out good music in our language, in our beats. Looking forward to it. Kwabena, introduce yourself.
Wow.
And let people know where they can find that music as you release it.
Wow. First of all, it's a pleasure to finally be on the show. I'm always in the background. So I'm the second part of the Emerging Alkebulan team, working closely with Oladele. So you hardly see me. I'm usually in the background, just making sure that things are ticking. But I'm here today. I think, as you said, the title of the session today is quite poignant. When the music changes, music has always been something that has been a part of my life growing up, specifically R&B soul. About 10 years ago, I used to songwrite, produce. Prior to that, I was a DJ.
DJs.
Yes. So I go by many names, as you will find out. But then about 2013, flew to Kenya for work, and I felt like my creative juices just dried up. I was there for about 3.5, 4 years, didn't write nothing, didn't produce nothing, hardly went out to any nightclubs, right? But I still love my music, and it's what keeps me grounded when I need to step away. And then fast forward 2025, I'm hearing new stuff which is just invigorating my soul. I'm also exposed to more wisdom from a cultural perspective, an Alkebulan perspective. The work that myself and Oladele and yourself, Sister Nduku, are doing is touching people. For this particular song, I have to give credit to Mr. Obaji Ejaka. He hasn't even heard it yet, right? Mr. Obaji Ejaka goes by Mark Obaji Ejaka, but you know why I'm only sticking to Mr. Obaji Ejaka. He wrote a poem, which I reached out to him for his blessing that I could turn it into a song. And I did that. So obviously the first versions that I shared with you, Nduku and Oladele, were taken from the English translation. And I think at some point when this is officially released, you will also get the English version as well. So I have to give him credit for inspiring me with the words to the song. And if you wouldn't mind, I just want to actually quote the lyrics of the song, so that it puts it into context why it's so powerful and profound. So just give me a second whilst I pull that up. Okay, so I titled the song Borders of Our Soul. And it talks about the fact that the Alkebulan was carved up without our input, without our impact, but the soul never forgets. The soul never forgets. So the first verse goes, they drew borders with the ruler in rooms the sun never knew, dividing tongues and bloodlines for crowns across the blue. They called our kingdoms tribes, our empires villages small. And when the land resisted, they said it had to fall. The chorus then goes, We are more than lines on paper, more than names they wrote in stone. We were kingdoms long before them, and will rise when they are gone. Let the rivers run their courses. Let the old earth have its say. No pen can chain a people who remember yesterday. So that's just the first verse and the chorus. I'll leave the rest when I release the full English version and the Swahili version. But it's a powerful song. And once again, I give credit to Obaji Ejaka for the inspiration that he gave to allow this creation to come about. So
yeah. And we're gonna be correcting, because I was like, I said to my brother, I need to help you out with the Swahili, the Ubuntu translation, because even as you're saying it now, I like, it's not wataanguka, it's walianguka or wakianguka. So we need to correct some things there, right?
But no, and I just want to say thank you to Nduku for challenging me, she's always holding us accountable.
Thank you for accepting the challenge.
And I was like, I'll do it. And I appreciate that I was able to do it in a way that you like to do. The version we played, I've actually called it the Nduku Swahili remix.
We're gonna have to correct it to Nduku Ubuntu lyrics. But we'll see. We'll fix it. As you know why I'm insisting on Ubuntu instead of Swahili. But we hadn't even planned to bring our brother, but this goes very well with the conversation, because he's opening up the importance of lyrics, the importance of what we listen to, what it does to us. I see Nkolani, I think that's how that X is. Correct me if I'm wrong, the pronunciation of name, or Solani, that says such powerful lyrics. That's exactly it. When she or he listened to that, they felt that it's a powerful song. Those are powerful lyrics. So imagine if you're listening to be this and this, F this, bend over this and that, like what frequency is it bringing in your spirit, right? And that's the conversation today. And I'm going to start. I'll be doing a lot of reading because I wrote down notes, because I was like, okay, I was thinking this. I ran to my computer. I was like, let me write down what I am thinking so that I can tell the people without, like, because this is going to be an emotional conversation for me. With everything going on in Venezuela, there's a lot of emotion I'm working on controlling. So I wasn't going to leave it up to just speaking out of my mind, because I knew it was going to derail the conversation and take me places, right? I do not have the discipline. I don't seek to have the discipline to control my emotions when it comes to the conversations that we're having as far as feeling emotion, because we need to feel the emotion. It is right that we are angry. It is right that we are upset, that this is still happening, that we're still in a place where the United States is invading nations, taking their rightful rulers and claiming that they were doing some shit that was not. Who the hell made you the leader? And brothers, allow me to digress quickly. I said I was going to do this because we talking about music is not taking away from the fact that this is happening in Venezuela. And so I want to say to everyone, we are aware and we want to do something about it. The thing is, who's willing to come to the table to actually have that conversation that needs to be had on how the United States is going to be stopped from doing this, from continuing this, because it must be stopped. This cannot be normalized. This thing of creating false narratives so that you can destroy nations, families, communities cannot longer be normalized. The lie that Maduro is doing this, or who gives a shit, what is Trump doing? Who has invaded the United States? Trump is doing awful things. Who will allow the invasion of the United States and Trump to be arrested today with all that he's doing? Because the United States wants to go out and say these leaders are doing this. Who today, the United States president today, is doing things that his own people do not approve of? So if anyone needs to be invaded and their president taken, it is the United States, by their own policy, by their own justification of invading Venezuela. So we are aware, and something must be done, and we need to sit down and figure it out. But who's willing to come to the table and have that conversation? Who's willing to put away fear and fight for humanity? I don't know if the two of you want to say something about Venezuela before we go into the
I want to go, Kabina.
Yes. Thank you. I need to make an errand, but thank you once again for the opportunity. I know that the topic is going to be very, very, very emotional and important. Yeah, enjoy everyone. Take care.
Asante. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I thought you were going to say something.
No. Yeah. If he gets into it.
Venezuela. Yeah, when I heard about this, I was angry. And this is basically the imperialists at it again.
I thought of John Perkins, Oladile.
Yeah,
the whole time I could see his book.
Yeah, and this is basically, if you haven't watched that episode, please go watch The Confessions of the Economic Hitman. The playbook playing out in our faces. Exactly as he stated, is basically what's happening. Some people call it geopolitics, but I call it thievery. I call it stealing. I call it
colonialism.
Yeah, I call it colonialism, neocolonialism, neoliberalism. It's all those things. And there is no justification. There is actually no justification for another country to go into another country because you don't know what they're doing or how they're doing it. And to say, you know what, I'm going to be the police to take you out of power.
Nope.
The question is, what about the people of that country? Where are their emotions? Where are their feelings? Where's everything that's happening to them? Basically, they invested in this country. The president, Maduro might not be popular. It might be 50-50. But
doesn't matter. Trump is not popular. No one is invading the United States.
That's what I'm saying. And who gives somebody who's got all these crimes against him? His morality is questionable. America as a country is kind of questionable because America, as we all know, is a country that was built on stealing somebody else's land. They have no moral justification to do anything. The country was built on stealing, killing, pilfering, and doing all these horrible things for them to be where they are today. And this is the same country that's going out there to be the moral police of the world. What a kind of a hypocrisy, absurdity. And it's annoying. I was angry when I saw that yesterday. But at the end of the day, like we're saying, how do we stop this?
Yeah.
Nigeria was bombed the other day. And I've seen Africans, Nigerians justifying this. And if you watch me on LinkedIn, I say again, I see them justifying this. When does it stop? The challenge we Africans face is that we have our problems. Let's look inwards. Let's hold our leaders accountable. We're not doing what we're supposed to do, but it doesn't mean you have to put your responsibility on other people. No. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do, other people should not come and do it for you. Because guys, we know history, and we're all students of history here. We know the legacy of the transatlantic slavery. We know the legacy of colonialism. We know what it's done to us and for us. And we're still feeling the impact today. These people are evil. They show that they're evil. They tell you exactly who they are. So why invite them to dinner again? They basically, a leopard never changes spots. Basically, they told you how they play. They've never been on a continent or in South America for the people. It's about the corporations. Even the government of America is controlled by the corporations. The Trump is basically a puppet. Anyway, when you talk about politics, how politics work. So guys, that's the vent. It's annoying seeing what's going on. But guys, let's call it out for what it is.
Yeah.
Let's be honest and brutally truth about this, because at the end of the day, we can't normalize what's not right. And I can see so many people trying to normalize this, thinking, okay, that's how they are. And so it's okay. No, it's not okay. Evil is evil. No matter how you paint it out, evil is evil. Just say it as it is. And I think if more of us start saying this in our heads and start to understand that, maybe it would sit down in us to say, you know what? It's not right.
Something must be done.
Yes, but we've normalized absurdity. We've normalized things that are not right. We've basically normalized everything. That's not right. And that's why our world today, as we see, is actually messed up.
Which goes to the conversation today, right?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Thank you, my brother. So I don't know if there's any experts on Venezuela out there who want to come and have this conversation with us. Our conversations are always from an African perspective. So we can have a conversation about Venezuela, but looking at it from the point of view of Africans, from an Ubuntu way of seeing it, not from a Western way of seeing it. So what does that mean? We will not be sitting here trying to justify or side with what the United States is saying as their reasoning. No, we'll be using our own reasoning to judge what happened. That's what we mean when we say we're presenting everything from an African perspective. We will be using our culture, our ways that we are reaching back to remember and restore to judge what is happening. We're not going to be using capitalist excuses. We're not going to be using contemporary times excuses that are used all the time. There'll be no democracy was served nonsense. No, there will be, is it in alignment with Ubuntu? Is there sustenance of life? Is there living human beings to live their way and provide for their own people? So if you're out there, you're an expert, you want to come and have this conversation with us and guide us through it, because I will say I'm not that well versed on Venezuela, but I do have an opinion. So
we all have opinions, and we know what's right, we know what's wrong.
Exactly.
And that's what's guiding us.
And if we don't have an expert, that is what we'll have the conversation. That's how we'll have the conversation. And you know what? Maybe we'll include it in the conversation next week with Mama Kanyisile, because we will be talking about military bases. So
we will be.
Maybe that will be the time to include it. Anyway, let's get into today's conversation. Like I said, I'll be doing a lot of reading because I prepared notes so that I could stay on track. So we weren't going to do a broadcast today, right? Even Kumbukeni alone, I wasn't going to do a broadcast today because I'm doing a lot of stuff, prepared to just sorting out my life and all that. I was busy, essentially. Let me just say that to cut it short. But then earlier in the week, again, I started with the story. Kwabena sent me music that he was working on, and I listened, and my immediate instinct was to critique it because all I could hear was Western, right? And then I told him I didn't feel African enough listening to the music, and like I said, he told me the story. It reminded him of 90s R&B, and I couldn't argue with that, right? There's a peaceful thing about 90s R&B, and so that encounter with Kwabena came to be realized a couple of days after that. I was in a vehicle, an Uber ride with, and I'm going to mention the driver's name because I think it's actually important. It's important to honor and appreciate and acknowledge those who impact our lives positively. His name is Mr. Heriberto. Heriberto. He does Uber rides in this area, the northeast area of the United States. And so I get it. I was in a bad place emotionally, and I got in his car, and immediately he starts the car. It's a sense of peace, the music. First of all, before he even started the car, the wind was blowing, the weather was awful, and I was trying to put my bags in, the door is trying to slam, I'm trying to open it. So finally, it took me a couple of minutes and finally I sat down. He's like, "You made it." He said, so immediately he's breaking the ice, right? And finding me in a positive place. He said, "You made it." And he looked at his screen to remember my name, Miss Joan. Yes, that is the name I go by officially. That is the colonial name. The Catholic name that was given to me by my parents. Miss Joan made it against all odds, against the wind, against the weather. And so I started laughing, and he turned on the radio, and it was, the music, I should say. It was R&B music, 90s R&B music to be specific. And I started recognizing it because this is what I grew up on as a teenager. These are the things. In my high school, I went to boarding school since I was in grade 6. But once I got to high school, I was in boarding high school, all girls school, and we used to invite other schools to come join us for debate, for different events, for drama and all that. So after each session, we would have music afterwards, which it took us quite the effort to convince the nuns for us to have those sessions, because it meant R&B music with boys' school, so we would dance with them, because this was done so often. You had already friends in the schools that you knew you were going to be dancing with this boy and that boy, so we had that going on, and we enjoyed that. So R&B music, as much as we were in Kenya, this is music made in the United States. It still connected us to our people in the United States through this music.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, so as I'm sitting in this car, I'm hearing this music. It's softening my spirit. I thank him for it. And he says to me, he intentionally has made a conscious decision to stop playing radio in his car because of the frequency radio music is giving today. He said he basically, paraphrasing, he was saying that radio music is just puts you out of balance. It's so chaotic. It doesn't bring peace. And so he decided intentionally, consciously decided that in his car, especially when he has passengers, he's going to be playing R&B music that is soothing and calming. And it did that for me. It was soothing and calming for me. And so I appreciated him. I started singing along. I was singing along, not trying not to be loud and all that. Finally, when I got to my destination, I said to him again, thank you. And thank you for not only making my ride experience calming and peaceful and taking away that energy that I walked into the car with, but also that you have inspired me to now go spend my day listening to 90s R&B music, which I did, and got myself to a really good place, right? But then that was like 3 days ago. And I said, okay, let me stay on this. So I did it on my Pandora. I selected the channel. I started listening. Yesterday I was cooking. I was listening. And Toni Braxton's song came on, right? Unbreak My Heart. And that's when like my energy started shifting. So the music before was loving, it was patient, it was devoted, it was, I'm sorry this, can I do this for you? I'll do this for you eternally. Can I spend this life with you? Like those songs like pushed for that. I want to spend eternity with you. I want to commit. I don't see any other women. I don't see any, it is you. I'm committing to you because you do this to me, for me. I feel this way when I'm with you. And if I feel this way when I'm with you, then I am going to commit myself to you. Those were the lyrics, right?
Mm.
And then Toni Braxton comes in, and I do love me some Toni Braxton. I love me some Toni Braxton so much that back in those days I was mentioning in high school, I did my hair based on Toni Braxton's hairstyles. Like I'd go to the hair salon because after high school, I get a job and I'm able to afford my own hairdos. And I'd tell the hairdresser, I'd go with a picture of Toni Braxton or TLC or one of the others. And I'd be like, that's the hairstyle I want. I remember I got popcorn waves and all that. Anyway, right? They inspired us in a good way. And so I'm noticing like the energy of the music is changing. The lyrics are changing. There's pain. And it progresses like that. I was like, wait, oh shit. Let me check out the 50s. And I went and found a channel for the 50s and I started listening. I was like, let me check out the 60s. Let me check out the 70s. I was like, wait a minute. I started thinking about us today. I'm like, yo, the music has shaped us. The music is why we are here, right? Back in the 50s and the 60s, it was songs like Sam Cooke's Bring It On Home to Me, Otis Redding's These Arms of Mine, Etta James' At Last, The Temptations, My Girl. Yeah. All of them in the 60s, right? They were not songs of domination. They were songs of appreciation, of awe, of choosing someone and saying it out loud without being embarrassed, without making excuses, without worrying about what your boys are going to say, right? And then later in the 70s, when life was complicated and struggle was real, not that it wasn't in the 60s, the music still spoke of commitment, right? Despite the hardships. Stevie Wonder's song, he sang of being knocked off his feet by her love. The OJ's sang of taking the load of this world off their shoulders and climbing the stairway to heaven together. Climbing the stair, like together, right? And Roberta Flack sings of giving him all she's got and getting closer to, and the feeling being sweet, right? Love as sanctuary, Black men speaking tenderly about Black women, desire without degradation, because it's okay to desire each other. That's the biology of who we are, right? Love as partnership and struggle together, that understanding that we have struggle and we're going to do it together, right? Together we shall create this peace that we seek. Music lyrics still reflected partnership and appreciation for each other in the early 90s. With music like Boys to Men's A Song for Mama, right? You all remember? And End of the Road till the end of the road. Like This is what the man is saying for you. I am with you till the end of the road.
Yes.
Tony,
so,
Tony,
and look,
Tony.
somebody's saying, don't forget the classics, the high life.
And I knew somebody would say that. I knew somebody would say that. But I was inspired by a certain thing. So let me speak on it. And speaking on this does not take away from African. Y'all, we need to understand this. This is the problem that we have. If you're not mentioned, you feel like, oh, you've been denied. No, it's okay to celebrate others. It's okay. Your turn will come. And celebrating others does not mean that we're not celebrating you. Again, these are our brothers and sisters. This is our music.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm glad the person said that. I knew it would be said, and I'm glad you did, so that I would have the opportunity to say that. So the focus today is on the music made by our brothers and sisters here in the United States and what it's done for us. And because the United States is actually controlling the culture in the United States, is controlling the cultures everywhere today, is the importance of this conversation. So like I was saying, Tony Tones feels good, where they sing, it feels good to know that you're there by my side. It feels good to know that you're there for me. It feels good to know that you'll always be around. It feels good to know you love me for me, right? Like, this is the song. So if you're listening to this music, this is how you're feeling. This is what you're hoping for yourself. This is what our youth are growing up with. Then the playlist moves forward and the tone begins to change. By the late 90s, you're hearing Bills, Bills, Bills by Destiny's Child, right? No Scrubs by TLC. Not Gonna Cry. I'm Not Gonna Cry by Mary J. Blige, right? So you as a woman, you're like, I'm not gonna cry. So now the women are changing. They are toughening up.
Strong black women.
You all wonder why it happened, why our women are here. And I always say our men led our women where we are today. And it's unfortunate that the men do not want to help us fix it. And I'm coming to the realization that we women, I'm sorry, my fellow women, that this is a burden that we have to take on our own. And with the help of the few men who have realized it, right? And who are willing to help. Because most of them are not. Most of them are now pointing fingers at us and not taking responsibility for the fact that they got us here, right? So Black women were no longer speaking from desire, like that type of good desire. They were speaking from depletion, from having given too much and received too little. And Black men in many of the songs that followed weren't speaking about repair. They were speaking from avoidance, entitlement, or indifference, right? Even Usher, early 2000s, Usher sings of confessing, right? As warped as what he's doing is, he's still saying to my loved one, this by far being the hardest thing that he thinks he's ever had to do, to tell her, the woman that he loves, that he's having a baby by a woman that he barely even knows, and hoping that the woman he loves can accept the fact that he's man enough to tell her this and hopefully give him another chance. We still have some sense of accountability in that song, right? But we're also starting to openly speak and normalize the chick on the side. Over-sexualized descriptions of each other start coming in, and in many cases by the women themselves, right? In many cases by the women themselves. They become the norm, and we all dance along. I remember being in the club dancing along to the wall, from the wall to the window, or however that song went. But Little John and the East Side Boys insulting us with lyrics like, can she F that? That question been harassing me in the mind. This B is fine. I done came to the club about 50 times. Now I can play with your panty line. Like this is the mentality now. I took you out for dinner. I've been taking you places. Take your panties off. I need to get in now. You owe me that. This is how our men are thinking now, right? You're dating someone a few days and they're trying to get in your panties because they feel like they've earned it, right? They've earned it, right? And the response, not necessarily by this particular artist, not necessarily by this particular woman, I'm talking about Sierra, but the response by Black women, Sierra is singing, you won't get no nookie or the cookies. I'm no rookie and still I'm sexy, independent. There we go. Now the women start being independent and celebrating it. And we're all listening to this, and this is what is being sent to us, right? We're independent. I ain't with it. So you already know I'm not being too dramatic. That's the way I gotta have it, y'all. It's ratchet. It's all ratchet. And it truly is ratchet right now. and we are dancing to it. That's the thing. We're going to the club dancing to it. We're singing along and bopping our heads, not thinking what it's doing to our subconscious. Pain is narrated, not healed. Right? It's narrated but not healed. By the 2010s into the 2020s, the music often no longer imagines partnership at all. Now there's not even any partnership. Detachment becomes strength. Emotional distance becomes safety. Love has become a liability. Literally, people now find it's a liability. Falling in love? No. I'm risking way too much to fall in love. I ain't even got time for that. I'm good with sleeping with a few men. I'm good sleeping with a man here and there as long as I don't commit. I had a family member say to me, I just want to have a child. I don't need to be with a man. So they proceeded, had the child, and ditched the pursuit of any man. This is the energy. This is where we are. Some of the most popular songs today don't even emerge as growing old together. Like that, like you tell me, show it to me today. Send me a song that is showing us a popular song, one that is in the radio streams, like being played daily. But now we are dancing and nodding our heads to Drake, talking of taking a woman from a man she loves so much and him not being around anyway since she picked up his call. And I don't even want to get into the exact lyrics of female artists. I don't even want to do that. Putting out and I don't want to get into Nicki Minaj. I do not even want to get into Nicki Minaj, right? So I realized the music has changed us. The music is a big part of designing culture. And it didn't happen overnight. It was one artist. And I mean, it wasn't one artist and it wasn't one decade. It was a gradual progression, as I did by giving examples, right? I want to say this. To be Black, because this came up with as someone asking why we're not talking about African music, right? To be Black is to be African. To be African is to be a Mwana Ubuntu. Whether we are on our motherland or abroad. Ubuntu is not a trend. It's not a trend. It's not a trend. So do not follow the white man's way of making it a trend. It's not. We're refusing that and we are taking control of our principle. It's not a philosophy that we pick up when convenient. It is a way of being with and for one another. So today, as we sit in Ubuntu, music shapes life. Even miles away in Kenya, I was listening to R&B music created by Black people, my brothers and sisters in the United States, and it was shaping how I viewed life, right? How I viewed my relationship with my other half, the Black man. And yes, that is our other half, Black women, because without him, we are not complete, and him without us is not complete. This is nature. It's evident in everything. Female, male, supposed to come together, right? My other half, because it is Ma'at. That's Ma'at, the Ma'at of nature. Man completes woman, and woman completes man. And together we bring forth life. This is nature.
Absolutely.
Right? Music teaches us how to speak to each other. It teaches us how to speak to each other. So if it did. Right? Oladile, if it's teaching me how to speak to you, and I'm listening to this, pay my bills, how am I going to speak to you? Oladile. What will I say to you when we start dating? What will I say?
Pay my bills. Pay my bills.
I need you to pay my bills.
Pay my bills. Yeah.
Because I've grown up here. What you should do for me. Right? It teaches us how to desire each other. Are we desiring each other in an appreciative way, in an honorable way? Or are we desiring each other in a way that bend over, touch the ground, you all want me to bring music, African music, ginger this and ginger that. There we go. I'm bringing in African music. That's all you hear now. I want you to ginger me. Touch the ground, bend over. Diamond, Shika.
The lyrics, especially Afro beats, right? Afro beats have been so, even though Afro beats is global, but it's been so co-opted that there's no meaning to it.
Yeah.
I'm a fella kid. I grew up a fella in terms of fella. I listened to proper Afro beats.
Yes, so far from fella.
And those lyrics had meaning. They meant something. Then it had a message, a revolutionary message for you to do differently, for you to challenge what's not right.
Yeah.
But you listen to Afro beats today. I'm not taking away what he's doing. Obviously, it's cut across board, but it's a capitalist tool. Yeah. And it's basically being dictated to. So basically, the lyrics are not making no sense. It has no meaning to it, and that takes away our consciousness as people.
Yeah.
But like Kunduku said, then there's no soul to what we're listening to. It becomes transactional, not emotional. No emotional attachment to whatever we're doing.
Yeah. And the sad thing, my brother, it's not just how capitalist it is those controlling the music industry. What is their goal as far as the Black community?
That's the key question.
What do they want to see of the Black community? And so what are they manufacturing? What are they inspiring? What do they want? Like, are they sending us wretchedness, or are they building us? Do they even intend to build us? We never stop to ask ourselves that, right? Music teaches us how to handle conflict. It does. Like I said, back in the day, the men would come and apologize. Back in the day, they wanted to talk to you. They told you how you made them feel, and therefore they wanted to commit to you because of how you made them feel. Things were not right, but we can walk through it. This is the type of music you're hearing back then.
Yeah.
Right? Music teaches us how to imagine family. It teaches us how to resist. That's how we started today with that song, and we're going to end with it. How to resist and stand up for what is right. All the revolutionary songs. Tell me what revolutionary song right now is out in the mainstream media that you're listening to every day, that has been popularized, that has gotten in the charts. Right? So when our music stopped modeling care, tenderness, patience, and commitment, we shouldn't be surprised that our relationships followed. This isn't about blaming artists or the music industry, right? They can take their share of blame. But today I want us to take responsibility, right? This is about us, about what we normalize, what we play in our homes, what our children hear while riding in the car, doing homework, or falling asleep. Sounds become atmosphere. Atmosphere becomes behavior. Behavior becomes culture. We have to take responsibility for that, we ourselves. Ubuntu requires intention. We're being intentional today. It requires us to be thoughtful about what we consume, to support music that builds us, not just entertains us, to uplift artists who promote care, repair, accountability, and shared futures. It played a part in fracturing us. Sound can help heal us. Right? I'll say that one more time for clarity. If sound played a part in fracturing our relationships, in fracturing our community, sound can help heal us. We can use sound, not the same sound, different sound. We have to be intentional about the sound that we want to heal us, the sound that is healing, and sit there with it and make that our grounding. But this is going to happen only if we are honest about what we've been listening to. Like, you have to hold yourself accountable and courageous enough to choose differently. Courageous enough to be in a car and say to someone, could you please stop playing that music? Can we listen to something else? Even if it's their car, right? This reflection today is not about going backward, as some argue when restoration of any sort is proposed. Oh, but that's going backward. We can't go backward. No, it's about remembering who we are and restoring it. That's what today is about. So restoring our humanity, because right now we are being treated like animals. We're being treated like cheap tools of capitalism that can generate popularity of music and money for these artists who are so ratchet. It's not even fair. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. To think of Nicki Minaj is disgusting to me. I mean, she made that bed. She better lay in it. I don't have to see her as anything else but disgusting if that's how her music makes me feel. And God knows she made that bed for herself. So I'm sorry, I'm not making apologies. To think of Drake is disgusting to me. To see him in pictures and how he presents himself with bullet holes on his shirt and people think that's popularity is disgusting to me. Yep. And to think that that is how our youth will see what they'll see and think that is the popular thing and the way to move forward. And we're wondering why our brothers and sisters are shooting each other on the streets like we're nothing.
You know, Undergood, this is one of the biggest challenges facing us as people.
Yes, it is popularized in the music.
We cannot tolerate what's right and think everything's okay. It's not about popularity, it's about consciousness. Yes. What you're doing, how does it impact the people around you?
Yeah.
It's accountability, it's responsibility. We all own it to ourselves to do what's right by the people around us.
Yeah.
Our allowing it is complicity. And this is why, as Africans, this is why where we are. Turn the other eye, turn the other cheek, and just ignore, oh, that's how it is. I hear it, so this is how it is. This is how it's done. Yeah. And for that reason, we just have to keep quiet and allow this rot to keep happening. When we have kids and grandkids that are coming up. And I keep saying this, what kind of legacy are we leaving for the kids that are coming?
Yeah.
What foundations are we leaving for them? look at the rot that we have right now. When is we going to start pushing back? And that change starts with us. As we enter this new Gregorian year, which is basically, like I say, it's not African, but it's Gregorian year. What are we going to do differently as people? Are we going to tolerate the stinking thinking? Are we going to clear our minds to actually listen within? Listen within. And we're talking about spiritual consciousness, about listening within, and let the still voice in you guide you towards the right path. Guys, we keep moving away. The goalposts keep moving. The morality keep moving. The sense of belonging keeps moving. Yeah. And instead of us standing still to actually take accountability and listen to what's going on, all of us just join in. It's crazy.
Oladele, as you say that, as I'm about to say my closing line, anyone who wants to join us, because I see a couple of people here, I would like you to come in. Ufundi, my brother, I would like you to come in. My sister, Sister Verona, if you want to come in, just to share your words even further, right? Because a text, a comment is not enough to say what you're saying. So today we're going to open up the conversation to the community. Join us. If you want to come up and tell us what your thoughts are on what we're saying and how you feel and what you think should be the way forward. But I'll say this in closing. The question now is, what sound will we choose to carry us forward? What sound will we choose to shape us? What sound will we choose to shape our culture? Right? We're talking about Sankofa. We're talking about revolution. We're talking about not wanting a death culture and wanting to build a life culture. So what sounds do we want to build today? Yeah, anyone who wants to come up, I would need to send you the studio link, so I can't send that publicly. So reach out to us. Some of you I see commenting have my phone number. Reach out to us, text me, WhatsApp, regular text, email, write it here in the chat, and then if I have your email, I'll send you the link. But let me know if you want to come up. Ufundi, I want you to come up because I want you to speak more about that music that you spoke about. Sister Verona, I just said to you, I would love you to come up. I'm sorry if you're in your pajamas, anyone, go clean up quickly the face from waist up. You know, that's all we need to see. Keep your pajama pants and come out. Yeah, if you need to clean up. If you want to come in with your kitamba, the cloth that you cover your hair and all that, trust me, I'm good with that.
We don't judge.
No. Come in as you please.
You look beautiful as you are.
Come in as you please. But please come in and we can have this conversation. So my brother say more. Like, I'm so tired. You know, as I was listening, I was like, and by the way, here's the thing. These are my opinions. And guess why that's okay? This is my show, damn it. So what I share here is my opinion. What the hell are you expecting it to be?
That's why we do what we do. That's why we have the platform to basically share our opinions. And most of the time, okay, because I've been in a chat, like I say, in a group where we've been talking about stuff back and forth. And guys, the question is, how do we get here? You know, like Unduku said, the music of those days that had meaning. And gradually it kept eroding. And even if parents listen to this rubbish and they encourage their kids, how did we get here? I can't be on camera. I'm home with visitors. So Verona says she can't come in.
That's okay. She can come in on audio.
Yeah, okay.
We'll take her in. She doesn't have to turn on her video. She can come in. Yeah, but that's okay. Go on.
Yeah. So, how did we get here? And it's a process of us losing our values, losing our sense of belonging, losing all sorts of things. Now we just losing it. And let me say this to Africans and Africans who are listening to me. We Africans, like we talk about Ubuntu all the time, we had our values. And people always say to me, you know, Africa, you know, with this, but Africa was never perfect. But we had our values and there was checks and balances, the systems we had. Because what is happening now probably would not happen if our history was not never interrupted. And if you read the book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, by Walter Rodney, it basically tells you that Africa was developed to where it was meant to develop. We were where we were meant to be. It's just that somebody else came in to impose their supposedly development on us, and then tell us that we're backwards. And intrinsically, this is basically where we are today, backwards in their eyes, which is now detrimentally affecting Africans. So my question, I always say this, guys, we need to retrace our steps and go back to some kind of normality. She said, send the link. I'll send the link to her. We need to, yeah, can you send a link to her? Have you got a number? So how do we go back to normality?
Wait, I thought I was unmuted. Judy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you can put a link to her. We need to go back to some sense of normality. Basically, the standards, the values, the moralities that we're copying. You know, John Perkins said this on one of our podcasts. He said it's a death economy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he said that, that's never left my head. We're basically copying systems that are not working for us as Africans. Look, you know, we're talking about Afrobeats. Just listen to the lyrics of Afrobeats. What meaning does the lyrics in Afrobeats have? None. It's just commercial twaddle to make money.
You should hear Diamond's lyrics talking about women.
It's just to make money.
Let me slide in.
And to make you feel good there and then, but there's no meaning, there's no consciousness in it.
Great question.
So what kind of seeds are you sowing to your kids? What kind of consciousness are you giving to your kids? What kind of awareness are you giving to your kids? What kind of thinking are you giving to your kids? What kind of legacy are you leaving to your kids? These are all the questions I ask. But so we Africans can do different. We don't have to use the standards of our colonizers who have no values, who have no moral compass in anything. Because the moment we knew them, we knew that they are vultures and scavengers from the moment they set their foot on our continent. They never meant well. But yet we Africans are using them as our moral guide, moral compass, whatever this. What happened to us? What happened to our Ubuntu? What happened to the consciousness in our music, the music of Fela Kuti that I grew up to? What happened to that? And we've seemed to have lost all those things to accept what they sold to us, which basically takes us away from who we are. And that's the biggest challenge. We Africans, man, we Africans. And I say this, and it pains me that our Black people lost their identity to embrace what we're not. Consequently, we're lost. We're lost. So how do we get back to those values, those moralities? And we still have it. Like we said, Ubuntu is the key. Community, caring for one another, not being capitalistic in your thought process, not being driven by greed, building together. Seriously, this is what we need to do. So, Undercoat, I don't know if you want to say something else, but yeah, guys, this kind of topics basically gets me kind of. It gets me insane. It does.
Right. Someone in the chat said, "Do you think musicians are ready?" And I did say, Kesheni, please come in.
Oh, Kesheni, she's one of our group.
Yeah, we want to hear. Come in, please.
Kesheni, you want to come and join us?
Yeah, send her the link. Send her the link, or anyone you recognize there. That I sent one to Baruti, I sent one to Verona, and I sent one to Anthony McPhail. So check your Anthony McPhail, your link, your Instagram. I sent you the link there. Come in, please. Honestly, let's have a community conversation.
Do you think musicians are ready to back to use? Do you think musicians are ready to go back to using the original?
That one, right?
Beats. That was original.
Binaural beats. I don't even know what that is, which is why I'm saying come in so that you tell us what that is.
Keshenua, do you want to come in? Just put a message there. I could bring you in, Keshenua.
Yeah.
Do you think musicians are ready to go back to using original? The question is, do you think so? I don't think so.
My question, it's not even whether we think so. It's why do we care whether they are ready or not? Yeah. We understand what the music is doing to us. Do we want that to happen to us? So we have to choose. We are in control of what we listen. We don't have to go to the store to buy Apple iPhones. We don't. This is the first time in my first time in my life now that I'm conscious, I haven't run to the store to get an Apple just because
I haven't done that for a long time in the group.
Until it breaks down, because they do that too to you, until I cannot use it, like my screen goes blank, I'm not getting another one because I'm good. I'm not getting another one just because there's a new upgrade. I'm not doing that. I'm not getting another one just because I want a better camera. We're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that. So it's the steps that we can take. Let's take them now that we know better. And then let's struggle through the others as we figure out alternatives before we abandon those ways. But one thing is clear. We do not have to listen to trashy music. That is something that change we can make overnight like that.
Yep, I agree.
I can decide today if a song has the B word, the N word, that I'm not listening.
Yeah, I don't listen to none of that. I don't listen to the crap. I haven't listened for a long time. So consciously.
Sister Verona, welcome. What are your thoughts?
Hi, Verona.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. I do agree with you that music is the essence of communication, because our ancestors, that's how they communicated, in the olden days when they couldn't express themselves. And they've used music even to send a message, because most of the music that I listen to, those revolutionary type of music, they have so much message in there. And this is also something we have to use to unite ourselves as well, because most of us who can't speak in the way we'd like to express ourselves, sometimes the music express it for us. So there are things that can be said in music sometimes that can't be spoken, but because it's entertainment, they listen. So we have to be very conscious about the type of music that we put out there, because these type of music these days are just to control our minds. And set us on the wrong path, in the sense that our children are just listening to gibberish. Some of them don't even understand what is said in the music that our forefathers have, put into this space that we're now, into the algorithms. Sometimes I listen to the music, all I can understand is the beats, not what they're saying.
Right.
So right now, what I'm looking into is the kind of music that the kids are listening to. And even in schools, the type of music that they're listening to is still the same type of music that we don't want them to listen to. So I think that at this point in time, we need to pay close attention to what our children are listening to, because that's what I see that society is pushing them towards, the jump and music, as they say. So I do agree with you that consciousness have to be in our music, and we also have to listen to the type of beats as well, because some beats that they have, those punk rock type of music, the beats also have certain level of consciousness in it as well. So we have to pay close attention to that too.
That's what my
That's
Uber
all I
driver
have to
was
say.
talking about.
I'm busy right now with family, so forgive
Enjoy
me.
enjoy them. No need to ask for forgiveness.
Yeah,
Enjoy
thank
them.
you,
You
thank
came
you,
in, you served community.
thank
Go
you.
enjoy them.
Thanks, Verona.
Thank you, Verona.
All righty,
Bye.
pull me down.
Kesheni, pulling you down right now. I send you the link, so just let me know where you want me to send it.
I'll send it to her now as well.
Yeah, send it to her. Oladele is sending you the link, so just use that.
I'll send it on WhatsApp.
Yeah, Baruti, karibu.
Yes, nzuri sana. Harry mwaka mpya, happy new year to
mwaka mpya wa wazungu. Kalenda ya wazungu. Jamani, karibu.
Want to commend both of you and Kumbukeni as the label for the topics that you do. Sometimes I get a chance to hear some of your broadcasts, one of which is now. And
actually, quick correction before you go on. When we do collaborations, it's both Kumbukeni and the Imagine Al-Kebulan as both labels coming together, because we are pushing for the fact that we don't have to be individualistic. Both myself and my brother can be awesome. Both of us can help each other grow. We can work together. We don't have to worry. I don't have to worry that Oladele is going to steal my audience. He doesn't have to worry about me stealing his audience, especially as long as we do not schedule our shows at the same time, as long as we work together. If there's that conflict in time, you know what I'm saying, brother? But continue.
Yes. Yes. Well, congrats to the full complement together. That is definitely Ubuntu. And I really like this topic that you're doing. And I made some comments about some of the old school R&B. And I do think that old school R&B, I label a few artists, as you saw. I listed Shalimar, I listed
Shalimar.
Bo Bryson and Roberta Flack.
Yeah, talk about them. Tell us about them.
I also listed Roy Ayers. And then I think I mentioned a specific tune about Marvin Gaye, Distant Lover. Yeah. But to all's points that music is very important, and the quality of music is very important to build African communities' consciousness, maintain love and vibrancy within our community is very important. I think in many cases we have lost that today, but needs to be rekindled. Yeah. And your topic today is one of the few shows that I've seen that explicitly talks about the quality of music. I think we need to go back to that. Many of the musicians today are not really musicians in the classic sense of the old musicians. I mean, when you think about them and the origins, and the foundation, and the mastery of either physical instruments or the mastery of their voices in terms of that being an instrument, 100 times better than most of the artists that we see today. But I wanted to just commend you all on doing that. I also mentioned in the chat that a person named Anthony also acknowledged also when I mentioned about Roy Ayers. And Anthony quite rightly pointed out the album that I was referencing called Africa, Center of the World.
I should bring him up. I'm trying to bring him up. He's here. He's having some connection trouble, but it would be nice to have him while you're still here. Go on, though.
The Roy Ayers passed within the previous year, but I'm not sure if you all are familiar with him as a vibraphonist.
No.
But Roy Ayers was an outstanding vibraphonist, and he jazz vibraphonist, but he incorporated what would be called jazz fusion with R&B in it. But he did some work on the continent with Fela, according to videos back from the 1970s. But I wanted to just point out a couple of tunes by him just for the audience. E-Funk is one tune, and then another tune called Everybody Loves the Sunshine. But I think we need to look at him for one reason too, is we know that the vibraphone really a kind of a descendant of the xylophone. The xylophone is an African instrument, so he was a master of that.
Yeah.
And we need to look at the beauty of the xylophone just as a indigenous African instrument. I should also point out that everybody is certainly familiar with Earth, Wind, and Fire, and certainly their classic tunes. But we also, I want to note, Maurice White, the founder and front person, he's now deceased, of Earth, Wind, and Fire, but he was a great kalimba player. And if we go back,
what's the kalimba?
Kalimba is a finger piano.
Oh yeah, I've been seeing that recently. Yes.
Oh yes. So go back to
Maponga plays it. Yep.
Yes, go back to some of the Earth, Wind, and Fire tunes.
We talk about the Imbira.
That's another name for it.
I
and
guess so,
Shona.
yeah.
Imbira. Yeah, that's
There are all
Imbira.
kinds of names for it. Yes, Imbira.
Wow.
Kalimba.
Are you saying Earth, Wind, and Fire used to play that instrument?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm saying that Maurice White
Wow.
was an outstanding kalimba player. You can go back to some of the Earth, Wind, and Fire videos and see him playing the kalimba. There's even Earth, Wind, and Fire even had a tune called the Kalimba Song. Just Google it, Kalimba Song, Earth, Wind, and Fire. But there's some outstanding solos that Maurice White did on the kalimba. And it should be noted that the kalimba as an instrument was actually brought to areas of the diaspora, New Orleans, what we now New Orleans, areas of Brazil during the slave trade, that African people recreated. Just like the banjo is an African instrument, still known in part from its original African naming, Mbanza, but known as banjo.
Look at
you. So we have recreated instruments and used them in the diaspora, and that's why your program is so timely. I just want to mention one other thing before the person Kumbukeni speaks, is that we need to take all of these different music forms and probably have a forum on it, show how all of them link to the continent, so that R&B, jazz, gospel, blues that particularly generated in terms of genesis in the United States are African, just like the calypso music, just like the reggae. We need to all connect that as being African music, so that all of these musical styles, R&B, and jazz itself is an African word, mandingo, from the word jazzy, meaning to dance. We need to connect all these things because we're one people under Ubuntu. And let me just end with that at this point, but want to thank you for having this great topic.
Okay,
thank you, Baritzi. Give us some history lessons there as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It seems like I am paying attention. I'm trying to bring in others as they struggle through the technology to come in. But yes, great input. And this is why I said today, or at least I was inspired by all your comments, to just have you all come in and say more about what you were saying. And as you can see, Brother Baruti, that could not have been said, or would not have been said in chat. That would have been many comments to accomplish what you just told us now. So thank you for coming in. But stay if you want to continue having the conversation, because Kumbukeni might say something that inspires
Did you look up Nduku? Your voice may have faded on a couple of seconds. Did you? I saw you typing on the computer. Were you looking up Earth, Wind, and Fire, Kalimba, Maurice White?
I'm gonna do that. I was sending Anthony some messages, but I thought to do that, and thank you for reminding me. Say that one, Kalimba what?
Put in Kalimba and then put in Maurice White.
Okay.
Wind and Fire.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, crazy. How these conversations.
Oh, that's the Imbira.
Yes.
That's the Imbira.
And here we are thinking, I'm not even kidding, like it's crazy. Hold on, I'm just gonna, and allow me all to share my search screen as it is. I'm just gonna do that so that you can see what I'm seeing, y'all.
That's basically Maponga's instrument.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the importance of this is to show us that we are one people.
Yeah.
That we are one people. Let me make sure there's nothing special on my screens that I can't share. No, that's too much. That is way too much showing. Let me do something else. Let's see. Now, what do you see?
Yeah.
Do you see just my Google?
Maurice White, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so let's look at that. There he is. No, we don't want to accept. We decline all. There he is. Look at that. Right? Look at that. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. And we
Yeah,
think we are
I
so different. We think, oh, they don't have culture. Black Americans don't have culture, but here they are. They
That
have
is-
our culture.
yeah.
They have our culture because it's their culture. So
Wow.
this nonsense of Black Americans don't have culture. I mean, it's in this conversation, y'all. He's playing the instrument that is. I don't know why we are so stupid.
And by the way, I wanted to say just my own personal view about the term Black American. I really believe that these terms like that are being used are used to create a situation to deny Africanity.
Asante
I
for holding
would
us
prefer that the diaspora community in the United States have actually an African name to define themselves. I believe the word American is already a term created by Mzungu people for themselves as ethno-cultural referencing for them. So African American or even Black American, worse, is basically an oxymoron.
Ooh, child.
And it's like calling the African people in West Nile, Zimbabwe, a Rhodesian. Right? We know that Rhodesian was made from British people under the idea of Cecil Rhodes as a namesake for them. So I actually, every time I get a chance, I kind of disavow these terms like that. And Duku, I know you were the same Black American, just so.
No, but no, thank you. No, thank you for holding me accountable. I was operating in my robotic nature and not being intentional. So thank you.
No, I wasn't trying to hold you accountable. I just noted something because every time that term is being used, just by lots of other groups, and now they've put an F on the term, like foundational BA or foundational Black American. It's used to denote that you're not an African. And also, every year now, Kwanzaa is attacked. Kwanzaa is attacked every year.
But you know what? Baruti, I blame us for that. And that this is a conversation I want us to have. For us trying to make Kwanzaa fit into the contemporary world, into the Western world. I blame us for it. We should have been okay with keeping it within our communities. We should not have sought it to be accepted by them, because by bringing them to the table with them, then we allow them to interfere with it.
Yeah. Well, yes. But I wanted to point out that Kwanzaa is now attacked by groups, Black groups, that do not want to be African, but they attack Kwanzaa from the vantage point. And I'm gonna hit something that you've had on the Kumbukeni discussions previously, and that is they attack Kwanzaa as a fake holiday. Now, what they mean by fake is not fake as in like Christmas, Thanksgiving, any kind of holiday can be constructed. They mean that Kwanzaa is misapplied in terms of concepts for the people that's intended as the celebrators. So what they mean is that the reason that Kwanzaa is fake, they say, is because Kwanzaa is applied to Black people in the United States who are not African. So why should people who are non-African celebrate something that is African? And then they start with, oh, you see, let's start out with something that's fake. Oh, how can people who are Black in the United States have anything to do with Kiswahili? Isn't Kiswahili only a language in East Africa, while these people are only from West Africa? See, so not embracing Kiswahili as a Pan-African language or Ubuntu as you know, as you've had on the show. But I think that all these things are connected. We need to connect music, language, as things that are global for us, so that Wano Ubuntu, or the concept of Ubuntu, Wano Ubuntu, as us as African people, realize who we are, where we are in terms of points of light, not just in any particular geography.
You know, you said you weren't trying to hold me accountable, and I know consciously you weren't. But remember, you don't
No.
operate by yourself, right? Remember, we operate also through our ancestors, through our creator. There's much more to who we are than just our individual selves. And so I will share that when I first encountered Kwanzaa, that was me. I was criticizing it, especially being a native Swahili speaker, because some of the words, the way they're translated, you know, I was being very I was coming from a critical mind, and therefore not giving it grace until someone held me accountable, and until I started learning about how Kwanzaa came about, how Maulana Karenga actually went to East Africa, sat with the culture, looked at the principles, and wanted to embody those back here so that his people, his brothers and sisters in the United States, could return in a spiritual way, in a physical way, to their culture, so that they could celebrate their culture here in the United States. His goal was not to take over Swahili, and this goes back again to the whole thing I was saying before. We should be welcoming our brothers and sisters to come back to the culture. The culture is ours, but it's not ours to hold on and deny our fellow on Ubuntu access to. It is one thing to deny it to those who bring harm and the foreigners, but for our brothers and sisters, we should not feel a certain way. And I learned through that experience, and I went into, and now I'm the biggest advocate for Kwanzaa. I went from criticizing to now being the biggest advocate for Kwanzaa, because I understood the principles was the importance. The need for connection with culture was the importance. The need for celebrating something that was more grounded in culture and our way for our brothers and sisters in a foreign land where they were consumed by Christianity and all these holiday celebrations was what was important. Getting it 100% right and perfect was not the important thing. And therefore, thank you, Brother McPhail. Finally, I see I can bring you. I then started appreciating Kwanzaa, and I stopped criticizing it. But that's where I was. And I'm a pretty stubborn person. So if I can check myself and come to a place of understanding and embrace, any of you can.
Did you criticize Kwanzaa, if I may just ask one question? Did you criticize Kwanzaa also because of the double A on the end?
Absolutely.
As opposed to...
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I criticized it also because Maulana, the name that Karenga gives himself, is God. It means God. So, and I would love to have the conversation with him so that he can explain himself why he did what he did. I've invited him, so I'm waiting for them to respond. So I was that person, Baruti, unfortunately. And this is the things we say. Go on.
Did you ever find out why the double A was put on it?
Explain to the people why, but yes, I did.
Well, originally, of course, we know that Kwanzaa, even with the double A, is to be a shortened version of Matunda ya Kwanzaa, first fruits. So initially, it was Matunda ya Kwanzaa with one A, but in their first celebration, they had 7 children at the event. So how else to illuminate varying principles? You had 7 children, but if the word only has six letters in it, then one child is going to be left out. So the idea was, okay, that you put an extra A for the 7th child, and that the word Kwanzaa with one A at the end, or the word Kwanzaa with 2 A's at the end, would not change its pronunciation. And so therefore the narrative would be that, yes, technically in Kiswahili or Ubuntu, that the word Kwanzaa would have 1 A, but it could be, an African diaspora spelling, much like saying that there are different spellings of various words, such as we can take the word twiga, right, for giraffe in Kiswahili or Ubuntu, but in Shona the word is twiza, Twiza. And so therefore, if all these are Bantu type words, and we're Bantu people, Bantu Ubuntu people, Wano Ubuntu people, then we can have variations in spellings, but come from the same core with the same essence of connectedness.
You're absolutely right. I will say the pronunciation is not the same. So Kwanzaa is because I teach the language, right? So it's important for me. And pronunciation is the first class I teach everyone. So Kwanzaa is with one A. Kwanzaa with two A's is Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Like
So, but
Ujamaa.
right, but that
Yeah.
explanation and we can do that. We can still have it mean what it means and do that and change the sound with that explanation, which is much more grounding in culture, explaining that we as a community had 7 children with us.
Right.
We wanted the representation of all 7 principles. We understand the spelling has one A when you say Kwanzaa, but in order to enrich this experience for us and include all of these children, we added that A trip. Trust me, that is an African story like any other that goes back in time as far as reasoning and why you adjust the way you move. That will be appreciated by anyone who appreciates African culture, anyone. And that is a story that people can tell. I remember growing up, and I always say this, sitting on the bed with my father on Saturdays in the morning and him telling us all kinds of mbano. We call that in Kikamba mbano. He would kwana mbano to recite tales, right? Kwana mbano. My father did that. And so this is another one that can go in the list of mbano that a parent can tell their children. Do you know what? There's a people who were taken from our land back in the day. They were taken to this foreign land where they were detached from culture, but they continued, the culture remained in them and it continued pulling them back. And they, once upon a time, when they were tired of experiencing the foreigners' culture, decided to reach back. And there's a man, his name is Maulana Karenga. He came back to the continent and he looked at our people and grounded himself in the culture, observed and saw what he could connect with. And he took it back home. And on that first celebration of these principles that he selected, they had 7 children. But the word they had chosen to represent this celebration only had one A, and it could only represent 6 children. And Maulana Karenga and his community decided we were going to add one A to bring in that 7th child. And since then, they have been celebrating this beautiful community celebration as Kwanzaa, calling it Kwanzaa, but with a different spelling to represent that 7th child, Kwanzaa. Any African who's truly grounded in our ways will appreciate that.
Yes. Remind me after your other guests speak. Just remind me, please, to say something about a celebration from a few years ago of Kwanzaa in South Africa.
Yes. Oh, I would love to hear that.
I have a comment that will be timely for everybody, I hope. So just remind me, I don't want to take any time from your new guest.
Yeah, no, those can be your closing words. We're going to hear everyone and then we'll do closing words. Kesheni, Karibu, Oladele, I am so glad we did this. And I'm so glad I decided to bring you on. And I'm so glad we decided to bring everyone else on. It has enriched enriched.
We always say this, guys. This is a spiritual space. We flow with the energy. So yeah, all good. Kesheni, hello.
Karibu.
Karibu, greetings, good evening.
Good evening.
Very interesting conversation. Very nice, very interesting. The point that I was raising, it's a bit like where we are. You mentioned the Gregorian calendar, which kind of has made itself the go-to globally, even though different nations have their own. And in some ways, this binaural beats, the MHS beats, right? There was this change where it's the musical tuning frequency. Now, I'm not an expert, but I'm raising it in the context of what you're speaking and the key changes and what is music that is being produced now rather than before. And so we had 432 hertz, which is a frequency measurement of certain things of music. And there are different levels and so on of these frequencies. Now that changed from 432 to what is now become standard as 440. So while we're living our lives to the Gregorian calendar timeline, it's exactly what we are doing with music.
Could you because I know hearing takes other people to a better understanding. Could you sound those two sounds, the 442 and the 440?
No, so it's 432
432.
hertz, and that's the tuning frequency.
Can you
It's
sound
a
it out?
tuning. I don't know. You would have to find it
I
online.
now
Four.
listen to this. My daughter is
Okay.
studying music, so I should have invited. I'm gonna send her a message now. So go on.
To
Let me see whether
join.
she responds. Yeah, let me send
If
her a
you can
message.
find 4-3. So what's happening now is that people are recording at 440, and then in the studio, it's being repitched at 432. So what is now being overstood is that there isn't a musical artist actually working to the original tuning frequency of 432. So if you imagine an entire frequency and understanding that the meaning of that 432 is about enhancement, is about harmony, is a different message than 440. So in some ways, it's like us learning in the West, in the way that we are taught in education from a very left hemisphere perspective, but we actually originally think or come from or contextualize or value from a right hemisphere way of thinking. So we're always at odds, and children actually up to the age of about 6 or 7 are whole brain thinkers. They see the whole picture and they also see the parts. And when seeing the whole picture, they also rise a level to understand the significance of the parts. After 7 and they've gone into education, everything is kept in sections, categories, delineated, apartheid, right? So I'm not sure what we can expect from musicians apart from their learning and their awareness that there's another level, and to go into the concept of frequency. We are frequency. We have those aspects that are invisible but yet tangible. And that is the knowledge that we overtly carried as a people. We align with that. We align with the cosmos and the planets. We align with the sun. And of course, with nature. And that alignment is physical. So the physical frequency change of 432 to 440. Now, whose agenda is that?
Interesting
What is
question.
440 doing? Yes, go on.
No, so carry on. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I'm just asking the question. What is the purpose of change? Why? Is it something that an instrument couldn't handle 432? Therefore, it's a universal instrument. We all have to. What is that? And so there are artists who are, using it. But as I say, it's more remixed, and there'll be artists who we love. So your Erica Badu, right? Lauryn Hill, even Sade. I don't know who HER and Daniel Caesar are.
Her is a new artist, but she's kept that tune. Are you saying those artists are maintaining the 432 frequency?
They're more, apparently the music that they're producing is coming out as 432. Whether they are actually creating it from a 432 frequency is another level. Because
right.
what they can now do in the studio is they can retune it to 432. So what we're hearing should be 432.
Which explains, so her's music, and her is just the acronym that she uses. She goes by a different, like, she has a name. She's a new artist, a younger Black female artist, and her music, I thought the first time I heard it, reminded me of back in the day music, right? So that explains that. And she has that calming, slow frequency, that calming energy in her music. I know there are songs that she's done that are a bit wretched, so then that the importance of lyric comes in. But as far as tune, I think she has maintained that tune. My daughter just said she hasn't learned the frequency yet, so hopefully she does, and she can speak to it at a future date. But that makes a lot of sense. This is what the driver in the Uber was talking about. I don't appreciate the radio music. It is sending a certain frequency.
Yes.
Even
Energy.
vibrations.
I
Yeah.
want to play the
Yes.
R&B, 90s R&B. So go on.
Yes.
Listen.
So there's
See the
hardly
importance
any.
of bringing you in? Go on.
So there are some hip hop and rap. So apparently Travis Scott, and he had a track called "Stop Trying to Be God." I don't know the track, but I understand from that. There's Lil Uzi Vert, there's Kodak Black, and all of these. So everybody's learning to turn to that. Now that's just one level, 432. But when we start to go into the Hertz concepts and the Hertz aspect, then what are the greater numbers in terms of music? Which one of the things I wanted to kind of say was we've got into the role of music not only but predominantly as entertainment. More, right? People are using mantra and sacred music and things like that. And I'm not suggesting that every single music we produced traditionally and in the past was based sacredly, but the way that it has driven entertainment on its own, well, not on its own, but the other aspects around it, dance obviously, and then potentially dress, that goes with that, and then setting. And it's become a silo, a kind of pot or a cave or a dungeon or a barrel or something like that, that is contained for entertainment. And the entertainment and the vibration of the experience of the music and the drinks and the dancing and the togetherness and the vibe is so contained. It's not food. There's nothing, I don't want to say there's nothing nourishing, because we all love a club life, but it's so predominant beyond the other experiences that we have with music and dance and that purpose. So the traditional ways in which we heard the drum and the notes and the significances of the different instruments, the ear that we had for that, to me is what we tapped out of. The language then, because Yoruba, talking drum. Most of us will hear the talking drum, oh, amazing, beautiful, not understanding anything it's saying, unless it's doing a version of, happy birthday or a tune that we know. But if it's speaking, and its speaking is transmission, a channel, and it's speaking, we've lost the language. We haven't got that. It's a bit like, signing for the blind, for example. It's a language. So the musical language, I think, is really important, because it's also our tone. If you think about the sound that we make with our mouths, clicking and, stoops and things like that, the sound factor that we are, and what you were saying about sound being our healing. Now we're using it very much in terms of songs and in terms of crystal bowls and all of those, things that we use, tuning forks that are now, coming in and working at different tones. All of that is now in play. So I think we have to harness that and break the ceiling, break the chains, right, that have been tied to music, so that the generations that are coming up can really hear something different, that they can feel more holistically, without an agenda, but their own.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm being a bit.
Yeah, you're hitting the notes, and I agree with you 100%. You're hitting it right, and this is basically why we do what we do, just to bring this knowledge out there and to share. And because anyway, you've been spot on, absolutely brilliant. I love
that's what I wanted to bring.
Yeah, brilliant.
And
thank you so much.
That song by Travis Scott, because I quickly listened to it and looked at the lyrics as you were speaking. It shows him trying to actually send a message of frustration with what, at least that's my understanding as I look quickly right now, of what's going on. But it's still using ratchet music, right? It still has some ratchetness in it, even as his who he is, right? I'm on Ubuntu is still present. He still has ratchetness. So for us, it's to push Travis Scott to a place of truly being grounded, right? By demanding better of him, and and allowing our artists to detach from those who control the music industry by demanding what is uplifting and giving us good frequency. So we shall make sure the demand for Drake and his ratchetness is zero. The demand for Nicki Minaj is zero. It's upon us. It is us who will control this thing. When we as a mass, anyone who hears me, anyone watching today, make sure you share with multiple people so that multiple people hear. That's the importance of that. So that more people can hear this message. Stop following artists who are sending bad frequency. Whether it's the frequency in the tune, whether it's the frequency in the lyrics, whether it's the frequency in the video. It's important too. All of it is important, right? In the Travis Scott song that our sister just shared, Stop Trying to Be God, he starts with sheep, white sheep and a black sheep with some reddish eyes, and another black sheep. Then there's a brown sheep that comes through, but sheep. And recently, Oladele, what have I been saying we are? We've been sheep. They've made us sheep. Through the Bible that they sold us, they told us we are sheep. And guess who the shepherd is? The shepherd has always been a white person in that Bible. In all the books, it was a white person. So why would we not say, oh, we want technology, let's go talk to America. After all, we've declared that the shepherd is white. And Travis Scott's song is showing that sheep, he has an idea of explaining what is going on, but he still hasn't got it right. And it is our job to push him to get it right and to send us music that we want to sit with and share with our children. But yeah, thank you for introducing me to that song.
If I can just add a point about sheep, and it's just come up, and I remember there's a song by Sweet Honey in the Rock, a women's group from the US, and they had a song, and sheep comes up in gospel music and spirituals in the US, I think quite a lot. And they have one like sheep, don't you know the Lord? And it's very, very identified animal with Black people and enslavement, and the religion of it is the sheep. And I think you've raised something quite interesting there. And just another point about Travis Scott, the poor boy, he's clamped left, right, and center in what he can do. And it's really down to his self-efficacy to know that he can step out on his own without the frame around him, because the frame is already dismantling and it's him that's holding up the frame rather than the other way around. Right? And if he can choose to just take awareness for a moment, he would rise to where he should truly be, rather than to this thing and burnt down concerts and stuff. As a musician, as a music maker, if he's got that to bring out, So give thanks. Thank you so much.
The other thing I'll say quickly, as Travis Scott's music was playing, because this is the trend now, is there's an auto-tune sound in the top of the music, right? I'm just describing it how I hear it, so I'm not trying to be accurate for those who are experts in music. Don't come shooting your arrows. So as I listen, there's this sound that goes on in this type of music nowadays. That's a very disturbing sound. Whoever understands music and knows what that is, that needs to be removed, because it's very unsettling for the spirit and the brain.
It's a binaural sound. It's binaural. So that binaural, it's doing something to the brain. And as a constant, it's there. Yeah. And so again, what level is it coming in? What frequency is that playing on from the 440, with 440 being the so-called kingpin? I don't know. I'm not an expert. And it would
What
be
it
great
made me
if,
feel was unsettled. I couldn't
yeah,
I felt that what I'm
yeah,
doing is what I felt. Yeah.
yeah.
So
And that
that's important.
unsettling is what we've always been placed in. We've been placed to be constantly on the move, and constantly moving and be unsettled, not settle anywhere. Even when we are settled, our spirit, our sense of not steadiness is there.
Do you know
And
what we call
yeah,
them? These white people? We in Ubuntu, do you know what we call them? You said that. You know what we call them?
Yeah, go on.
We call them wazungu. You know what that comes from?
Muzungu.
It comes from kizunguzungu or kuzunguka. So when you zunguka so much, you get kizunguzungu, dizziness. So kuzunguka means you don't settle. Yo, for real. They are forcing us into who they are.
Wow.
And we've always thought they want to be us, but actually, no. They want to reform us. We are raw material to be reformed. And I'll never forget one of the MPs here and just said to Black people, forget your culture, integrate into what we've got here. It's like, don't even get into that. Just live how we do in Britain.
Yeah.
And it's that assimilation, that going in, because we know they're a dying breed.
Yes.
So this is their survival strategy, is to, imprison the raw material, which is what we are. And we walk as it. It's very interesting. Very quickly, I don't want to stay long, but I watched what's his name, Billy Carson video, and he was talking about who we are, and he was saying, let's say, forget numbers as such, but the number is relevant. 101,1350 million years there has been human life. And he said, all of us, we're all the same age. We're all 1,350 million years old.
Of the African, yes.
The DNA, right? Even if it's new DNA that was formed after 1,000 million years, after 500 million years, or yesterday, it's still out of continuity, however much it may have changed. And I kind of think, yeah, the idea that we live for eternity and what our body is, the biggest organ, the obvious organ is our body. And that's what they plug into holistically, including frequency.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Kumbukeni.
Thank you.
I wanted to compliment Kumbukeni before you left. Oh,
she's gonna stay.
No,
she
I'm
can
here.
stay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to thank you very much for your insights. I was listening very intently, and also for your mention of Sweet Honey in the Rock as a gospel group. That was very timely, and I'm glad you mentioned them as well. I wanted to say, if I could, just to the panel that's on now, is everyone familiar with I would call it a genre of music from historically Black colleges? Is everyone familiar with the Black college marching band?
Oh yes.
Okay. Now in the chat, Oladide and Nduku, you might see where I just wrote a message.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you did? Oh,
no.
Okay.
Keshani, stay and away from camera if you can, but just stay in case we need you. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. I wrote a little message that you might be able to see in the studio chat. That is.
Would you like me to share it in the public comments?
Yes, that's fine. And it says Bethune-Cookman University's marching band rendition of a 1983 megatune by Renee and Angela called "My First Love." And sometimes, depending upon where people are in the U.S. and other places, they may get a chance to hear various what we call HBCU marching bands. But this particular university did a on-field marching band rendition of that tune. I didn't know whether you might want to check it out, but play it maybe. But I sent the link to it. But why I bring that up is because since Kishani had mentioned about instruments, this is interesting because we're taking 300 people roughly playing various instruments that are not the same instruments that were used to actually produce the Renee and Angela tune, My First Love, and making that a musical genre so that people can see the beauty of basically taking an orchestra, putting it on field, and using instruments that are different than the original. For example, on the field, you would not have keyboards. You would not have stringed instruments. So the only instruments you would have would be your ngoma, percussion instruments, and wind instruments, horns and flutes and clarinets. Okay, so I thought people might find it interesting if they were to actually play the original tune that they can find on YouTube, My First Love for Renee and Angela, and compare that to what the marching band was able to do and how it sounded. The tune is only 3 minutes. So I don't know if you all may listen to it in the background and say, okay, well, maybe I could play it on air, or Lisa.
I would love to play it on air because I'm listening to it now and it's amazing. But as you know, these are not our spaces. We don't make the rules. They will not allow us to play on air. So I shared the link. Just go listen for yourselves.
Yeah, I'm listening to it now. It's actually very interesting.
I mean, let me see. I can play less than a minute. Let me quickly just play less than a minute. And then we can have Brother Anthony McPhail join the conversation.
But before you play it, Nduku, let me ask you both, you and Oladile, what is your impression when you hear a college marching band in terms of the orchestration of their sound versus what you would hear in actual radio? I mean, because I've actually thought that marching band music, HBCU marching band music, should be a genre of music next to gospel, reggae, R&B, soul, jazz.
And that's a conversation, and that's a definite conversation to be had. But I see what you're saying, because they change it to suit the dance, the marching, right? So they put and let me quickly play, because your question will be relevant once a little. I'll play a very short, because I'm trying not to violate any
community guidelines,
rules,
right? Rules. So just quickly, any copyright rules. You can hear it.
Yeah, we can hear it.
I'm gonna move it forward. All right, so just to give you a taste, sorry everyone, we can't play the whole thing, just to make sure that we don't violate any copyright rules. But you get the idea of that music. For me, that the energy that music gives me, and it's interesting because it's done in a sort of communal way. It's an orchestra, right? Essentially.
Yes.
And it sends that message. It sends that message of
unity.
That music, if you're by yourself, it feels you connected to others.
Unity.
It sends that message of coming together, and it builds you up and all that. So that's the energy I get from that. As far as your question as to whether it needs to be a genre on its own, I do believe it should be, because it's different. The way it's played, the way it sounds is different from a regular orchestra. Yes, you'll have orchestras that sound like that, especially when they're preparing, like doing songs for movies and stuff. But there is definitely a sound that when you hear, you know it's a marching band. And I'm new to the marching band, so, and I know what I've been hearing, and it sounds different.
And the preservation of some of the old R&B that you started out with at the onset of the show is actually being preserved through the HBCU marching bands.
Yay.
Because they perform many of those tunes for the audience at at U.S. football games and other spaces. So in order to create the tunes, the band directors have to be able to go back to the original tunes and rewrite the tunes to suit the type of instruments and sound and projection that would actually be on the field. And that's very classic. And what has happened now is that the marching bands have been getting so much shine until now there are HBCU marching band competitions in various cities in the United States at various stadiums. What I would love to see would be to take, if the money is there, to take maybe 4 or 5 of the noted HBCU marching bands and have them to perform as a kind of a competition on the continent in various spaces. Or another idea could be at the halftime of a soccer match in Kenya or Nigeria or Zambia or wherever on the continent, to have as a halftime performance one of these groups to perform at the half.
That would be great. Even more powerful if it's a World Cup situation or the African Cup situation, right? Forget the world. If it's an African Cup situation, that would be really, really great. Or even something organized by us all. We can decide, F the government, F the African Union, and we as a people, I come from Kenya with a few other Kenyans, my brother from Nigeria with a few Nigerians that they unite, South Africa, we all unite and we decide, okay, let's see if we can talk to some players. Let's see if we can talk to these people who play, coordinate something, even if it's going to be high school, whatever, we coordinate and say, we're going to invite a school from the United States, a marching band, and we're going to have them play to introduce this, to show you that they have sustained culture, that they have culture, Because I just said music shapes our culture, and the marching band is everything about music and culture. So Asante Baruti, quickly, let's have Anthony McPhail join us. My brother McPhail has been supporting Oladele from the beginning. Whether I am on top or down, up, down, sideways, he's always been here. So I appreciate him, brother McPhail.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you very much, my brother.
Well, peace and blessings to everybody, man. How y'all doing?
Good to hear your voice, bro.
Yeah, man. I love this platform, reclaiming our narrative, man. I love Sister Nduku, man. She's a great inspiration. And I wanted to touch on the music part and on something I wanted to say about the Kwanzaa part. But I say this right now, that it was back in, I think around, I'm old enough, I'm an older guy now. I'm old enough to remember that back in 1975, I think it was, the Gremlin, the world famous Gremlin marching band actually went to Africa.
Oh,
they went to the they went to the continent and they performed. I'm trying to remember right now. It might have been Liberia. I'm not sure. But I know they went. They did a tour of Africa, of West Africa. Yeah, the marching band, the HBCU, the Black marching bands, they have made a presence in Africa, on the continent.
Nice.
And one time, that was the time was more consciousness back then at that time. And I want to say that what I was just going to say, man, y'all was having a deep conversation, especially the sister, about the frequency and and the vibration. I heard the brother say about the vibration. I said, okay, I'm 58. I'll be 59 in February. Now, and
you've literally witnessed the change. You have lived it.
Yeah, I could actually remember back in the 80s. when I remember like when I was like 18, 19, it was this music coming from the Caribbean, from Jamaica called reggae. And I know we all know reggae. And man, I was just like, man, what is this music? Like Peter Tosh, you know what I'm saying? And Bob Marley and the Wailers and so many groups, you know, Pablo Moses, Burning Spear. And I can remember that the connection that it gave us with African people all over the world. You know what I'm saying? It was the height of the apartheid era in Southern Africa. You know what I'm saying? What was going on in Zimbabwe and in Namibia. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, we had so much consciousness back then, with the music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We had so much consciousness, like with the reggae connecting us, with our brothers and sisters on the continent. And I literally seen it go from say hip hop, for example, go from Stetson Sonic making a song called AFRICA, Africa, to the bullcrap that we got now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I literally seen so many groups like it was these brothers from New York City called the X Clan. And just check out X Clan. I know the brother, you know about X Clan. You know what I'm saying? So much, I mean, this great Black consciousness, African centered music to the NWA music. You know what I'm saying? To run around somebody kill niggas and stuff and making it popular to call ourselves niggas.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And call our sisters bitches. You know, all of this foolishness. You know what I'm saying? I literally seen that. I seen when the pants started falling off their asses and shit.
That
You know
too.
what I'm saying?
And you know what else I noticed, Brother McPhail? The brothers
Uh-huh.
started singing with no shirts. All of a sudden, it became about showing the body. Back in the day, they were fully clothed.
Yeah.
The sisters wore long dresses. Like, come on.
And they
Come
wore
on, brother.
African African inspired clothing and everything.
Nina
You know,
Simone, you can't. If you see Nina Simone on stage before she opens her mouth, you think she just landed from like some country somewhere. You know?
Yes, exactly. I mean, there was so much consciousness, and it went. I mean, it was definitely, like you said. One thing, I go back to the Billie Holiday song, "God Bless the Child That Has His Own." That means, like, when you making music and you making music for other people, you got to dance to their tune.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know. I mean, I'm saying we have to make our own music. We have to own our own labels, our own institutions. In Duku, you talk about this all the time. Having our own thing, reclaiming our narrative. And reclaiming narrative, you got to have your own thing. You know what I'm saying? You can't you can't do what you want to do on somebody else's platforms. You know what I'm saying? You can, but then shut that down. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you got to have your own. We have to. Go ahead.
No. I just wanted to say hello to you. I thought you had ended, but I just wanted to say hello to you.
Oh yeah, peace, brother. How you doing, man?
Yeah, man. And I just wanted to know if you could comment on the on your comment that's on the screen right now about Roy Ayers again about
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
And also if you would say something, if you can, about go-go music.
That would be yes. Thank you. That's a new one too to me. I just heard about it. So yes.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's new to
my
brother
the go-go
too.
Music.
Speak about
the go-go music
Roy,
out of DC.
Yes,
okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Speak about Roy first. Speak about Roy Ayers going to Loving Africa and playing with Fela. And I just recently learned about, oh my God, why am I forgetting their name? I'll remember the name and then I'll tell you. A rap group playing Fela's music. The first time I was with a friend and he played it and I was like, yo, what is this? And they were combining their music with Fela's. They're a very revolutionary group. I'll put it and you will know. Dead Prez.
Yes, Dead Prez. Dead Prez.
So, and a bunch of artists joined them to do that. So please speak about Roy Ayers playing with Fela.
Yeah, Roy Ayers was a brilliant brother, man, and he loved Africa, with all his heart, man. He loved African music, culture. He came from out of a time in the late '60s into the '70s where you had guys like this brother y'all heard of James Ntume, who just died a couple of years ago. Ntume, he put out an album called Kawaida. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Back in the early '70s, it was a lot of African-centered. Music back then. Dale Jones, brother Dale Jones, Positive Vibes, all that, with the jazz fusion kind of type of movement coming from out of the late '60s and into the '70s. But Roy and Fela got together and they did a whole album. They did a whole album together. You know, you can find the album on YouTube if you want to. You know, you can find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, but they did a whole, and the interesting part was like they had interludes where Roy was talking to Fela, asking him what certain Yoruba words meant. You know, and Fela was explaining what this word meant. You know, and he was basically, it was a teaching process too. You know, educating the African that had left a long time ago. You know what I'm saying, and coming back, to himself, to his consciousness, to her consciousness. You know what I'm saying, and being helped, because a lot of times, it's like the other way around. The narrative that we had the other way around will let us go teach. No, let us go back and learn. You know what I'm saying? Instead of us going over here, because when you don't have the right consciousness, you go back and try to tell a brother, sister, or cousin that you coming from something that's alien to both of y'all. You know what I'm saying? You coming from a Western mentality. You know what I'm saying? Well, see, that's part of the reason why we're in the mess we're in, because we forgot our own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I said,
So glad
reclaiming our own narrative. Reclaiming our own narrative. And so, we got to look at it like, no, we can go back and learn from our people. Because we got to learn from the root, and not from this from this Western garbage that both of us, the guy with these colonized minds that we had, Black people, we almost in Stockholm syndrome now. You know what I'm saying?
It's really what we have.
Stockholm, that's what our brother Steve Biko was saying about the mind of a colonizer in the hands of a colonizer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, man, that was a great moment in time, man. Where Africans on this side of the world got with Africans on their side of the world. You know what I'm saying? It made a beautiful thing happen. You know what I'm saying? With Fela and Roy Ayers, man. Yeah, it's a beautiful album.
The album is called Anthony. The album's got Upside Down, isn't it? Music of Many Colors.
Yeah,
exactly. Music of Many Colors. Beautiful.
I tried Music of Many Colors.
Yeah. And I'm gonna share too the link, Dead Prez with Fela tunes. But thank you, brother. Speak to Gogo Music, the DC Gogo Music, please, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay, yeah, Gogo Music, and excuse me, Gogo Music out of DC. It's a music. It has a strong African vibe. You know what I'm saying? It has a strong African vibe. I mean, you had a group called EU, Experience Unlimited, from out of DC, who was like one of the biggest proponents. But it was this brother Chuck Brown, who was like, he's basically looked like he died some years ago, but he's known as the godfather of go-go music. But it's a music with a strong vibe. It goes back to the 70s, the late 60s and early 70s, with a strong African vibe. You know what I'm saying? When you hear the beats and the bongos, you know what I'm saying, the drum out of, So yeah, I mean, it's hard to just explain it, man. You have to go back and listen to some of the music, to get a better vibe than what I can explain to you. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely like in the 90s, it was definitely a popular genre of music, for a brief minute. But like I said, they came and dumbed us down with all that gangster rap and all this degenerate garbage that we listen to now. You know what I'm saying? Like the sister was saying on those frequencies and those beats. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I said, you had all of that strong Afrocentric music. All that music that was uniting all of these African people. They said, well, we can't have that, man. So this next thing you know, he came up with niggas with attitude. You know what I'm saying? And all this garbage.
Exactly. And then that's the beginning of the downfall.
And I want to say briefly before I knock off. I heard y'all was talking about what it was, the sisters, Sweet Honey and the Rock. You had the sisters of the Calabash, different groups like that. And Lady Smith, Black Bombazzo, and all these groups of people, you know what I'm saying? And who in the 90s they did Sounds of Blackness. All of those people were collaborating with each other.
Yep.
At one time, they did music with each other, all those groups. But what the other part that I wanted to say before go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The part I wanted to say was coming from the earlier conversation about Kwanzaa, for example. I wanted to say that Dr. Kalena, Dr. Maulana Kalanga, when he was coming up with that, because this was Africans in this part of the world trying to reclaim, our African heritage, our culture and everything, even though we've always had semblance of it, especially if you like me, I'm from the southern United States. And so we always have a strong African center-based culture at the root, even though a lot of people don't know it. They don't call it, you know, like here, like we have, it's all, a lot of people were from, those Africans came from West Africa, from Central Africa, particularly the Bakongo culture. And we have like things like, what was known back then, it's called roots. It's called roots, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if you know about roots. Some people call it hoodoo. You know what I'm saying?
Are you talking about the roots that we use to heal ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's the medicinal part and the spiritual part, because a lot of like we had people running around, we had like mojo bags and stuff like that. You know, we have to have a whole. I'll send some information to you, dude. What I'm saying, it was African people trying to reclaim, you know, the Africanity in a way. So, because you know,
not
with the day,
not even reclaim it, they were holding on to it. They were holding tight onto it.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, in a more visible way. You know, you know, away from the whole Christian American Western thing that we had always had. So anyway, that's what I think Dr. Karenga was trying to do. And I had conversations with other African brothers and sisters who was like, well, what is that, man? We don't do that in Africa, you know, like this Kwanzaa thing. It was a sister from Kenya. Now she's from I think she was from Kenya. She had a show. She used to be on with Swahili Nation. And she used to be on our podcast, Better Medicine. And her name was Tanzan African Mind. And Tanzania, we used to have this conversation where she would say, well, you know, we don't do Kwanzaa over there. I said, and I was saying, like, but sister, it is there. It's not called that.
No,
but it's exactly. Okay. Like Dr. Karenga had a friend,
it's
a colleague.
Yeah,
but I'm saying, listen to me carefully, real quick, dude. Dr. Karenga had a colleague. It was a sister from Southern Africa, from Azania, Southern Africa. She had a big influence on Kwanzaa. Okay, now see, the Kwanzaa celebration started like in December 26th. It's early January. In Southern Africa, among the Zulu people, it's the first fruit harvest that starts around the same, goes in the same time. And see, this sister was a Zulu sister, and she was instrumental in Dr. Karenga's forming of Kwanzaa. You know, I mean, it's not a mystery that it started at the same time that the Zulu first fruit harvest started.
I hope he accepts, at least he receives the invitation and accepts it, because he will be the best person to tell us this, right?
Exactly, 100%.
He can tell us his experience on how he came about this whole celebration.
Well, that's great to hear from him.
And how he feels about us expanding it.
Yeah, but I want to say, man, it was a joy being here. I finally made it here. I didn't think I was going to be able to get on. But,
Thank you for being patient.
Yeah, and hey man, you know, and Duke, you know, big respect to you all the time, and to the brother and all of the panel, man. So I just knock off and listen. Y'all take it easy.
To you as well.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So to the family, Oladele, I don't know if you have anything to say. I'm talked out. I'm happy we did this. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you for joining us, guys, and we'll see you next week. Baruti, you want to say something?
Yes, I wanted to make one comment again. So I'm glad Anthony made the comment about the Impala Festival. That was one of the first fruit holidays that is documented in one of Dr. Karenga's books, when he talks about the formulation of Kwanzaa, about looking at first fruit festivals all over the continent and synthesizing those into what would be the Kwanzaa festival, you know, in the United States. And it's interesting that the brother Anthony brought up about the Impala Festival, because I wanted to just end with a comment that Kwanzaa has been celebrated in South Africa for between 15 to 20 years now in various spots. And there was a news clip from a couple of years ago from SABC News, South African Broadcast News, of which one of the reporters went out to one of the celebrations that was being celebrated. It was not in, Johannesburg or Durban. It was one of the smaller areas, maybe outside of one of those cities. And the celebration was going on, and the reporter was speaking to one of the organizers and was asking about the Kwanzaa celebration. And one of the organizers said, we're so glad to see that Kwanzaa has revisited us. So the reporter said, revisited us. I thought that Kwanzaa was created in the United States. And the person said that many of the ingredients of Kwanzaa, in terms of the first fruit harvest ideas, are right from here.
Yeah.
And she was talking about right from South Africa. And said, so the way that we see it, she was saying, as in South Africans see it as Kwanzaa was taken from here in terms of its basic ingredients, celebrated, cultivated, and customized by our African children out there.
Mm.
And it's so that when we see us celebrating Kwanzaa in South Africa, we see what our children have done out there coming back home to where it started.
Baruti, go on. And it's interesting because it's not just South Africa where it came from, because the same principles are in East Africa. They're in this is the Ubuntu people. The language is Ubuntu, right? So it makes sense that any Ubuntu person will recognize this, which is eventually what I did when I opened my heart to understanding instead of criticizing. But also, it is familiar to Oladile. The same principles are familiar to him under different names. These are things that Africans can recognize anywhere they are. And the best place, if anyone is looking, if you're being challenged to prove this, to find the evidence of these principles is in the Proverbs. Look at all the Proverbs, be it Yoruba Proverbs, be it Igbo Proverbs. Look at all the Proverbs, you'll see the similarity of who we are. Our similarity lies in those Proverbs. They will have a proverb, I will have the same proverb in my people's way of saying it. So if you want to see Kwanzaa, look at the African proverbs, you'll find it there. Because the proverbs built culture. They still build culture today to those who are holding on to them. I thank you so much, Baruti, for joining us. Like I said, we are in control. Only we. It doesn't matter whether the artists accept or not. They're going to be broke artists if they don't accept the change. And that's what we should ensure. We should ensure that they're broke artists, that Drake goes broke as long as he's producing the music he's producing. That Nicki Minaj can never afford anything. Yes, that she's losing her home and everything as long as she's sending that frequency. And it's okay for me to wish that, because she needs to have incentive to do the right thing, because clearly knowing that it's wrong is not enough for her. So she needs to feel pain so that she can understand pain. And they need to all feel pain in their own perspective, what pain is, because for them, pain is being broke, so that they can understand the pain that a lot of us are actually feeling. So if it means sending them into brokenness and coming back to cry to us for help, let's send them there so that they can make the music that we want to hear, the music that we want future generations to hear. Oladile. Thank you all, Karibuni, Asante.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. And in everything we're saying, everything we're doing, is basically find ourselves as Africans. That's all we're saying. Just get back to the basics, get back to roots, get back to Ubuntu. In my language, is basically, you cannot do it on your own. You have to do it in community. And this is who we are as Africans. Let's get back to that. Because the moment we get back into community, we're flying. We're down here because we're basically following the frequencies that we don't align with. And that's the challenge.
Asante Kesheni, Brother McPhail, Verona, all of you who just jumped in and joined the conversation, to everyone else who wanted to and did not but shared in the chat, to everyone else who joined listening, to all who are going to share and continue to support us, Asanteni, Kila Laheri, Kwaherini. Stop, don't move. We're going to play Brother Sam's music. He is working to bring back that tune that centers us. So quickly, I wanted to share Brother Sam's paste there quickly. I didn't do that. This is where you can follow him on Instagram if you want to see the music that he's going to be producing, if you want to have that calming music. What this song essentially is saying, the pen that was used to divide our borders, to divide us as a people and place those borders, cannot disrupt, cannot change a people who are remembering their past. That's essentially what it's saying. So let's remember our past and let's continue to restore it. Asanteni, kwaherini, kila laheri.
Bye.